families going to church and hearing these stories, and they're expressed in uh, books and literature. They're very similar stories, and they're expressed in, that we have tons of these type of, like, where we get into patterns and redundancies, like school. And so people are so, you know, and in those places, where the human condition is happening, the human psyche is. In those places, there's ideas of the infinite, and they need to be there. Basically, Jordan would say. Um, and I think that's much more like how reality really is, and people need that. People, those people can't just stop everything, start meditating, and just trying to be this completely rational person all the time. That doesn't sound like reality. And it sounds, because there's just so much embedded into our social structure, where if people stopped like participating in the places where they discover about life and the human condition, because now, they're just gonna purely kind of, I don't know, say, and I'm not really sure what Sam's answer is. He might even say that we need to invent, like, answers to these types of ideas. But basically, it would be he would say, maybe participate, but don't participate in the belief structure. Don't necessarily, like, join the tribe. And that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. That doesn't sound like survival. It doesn't sound like it would work, or it would have worked. Um, and I don't think it's a good idea to view truth like that. Um, I think it's a good idea to view truth as both containing the infinite and the finite. Um, because the way it participates in culture and in society, you have a bunch of people having conversations and going out and doing stuff that's important for being here. Um, as it's like, well, if you want to, I don't know, kind of diminish God, the idea of God, to kind of more of a Aristotle interpretation, or the idea of the infinite, then I don't, what philosophy book is has was going to have gotten read then, or going to have gotten written in the past. Um, this idea of God and this idea of the infinite, I think it's important for the human psyche. I think it spurs on, and so that within itself is important. It kind of develops and continues to survive philosophical ideas, or not. I don't know. It seems like Sam and Jordan are more or less having a similar discussion to Plato and Aristotle's. We're just here now, and that within itself is kind of unique. That we're still here. still having the same conversations. Um, and so, that's something. It's not nothing. Having a similar conversation about the idea of truth, the infinite versus the finite, for a long time. And so, yeah, I think that Jordan's interpretation is more like how reality is and being here is, and how the human condition uh, is present and interpretable and uh, helps you develop the idea of truth, and that's important. That is important because I don't think everybody could live in Sam's world that he would create, where the human psyche just tries to hang out in rationality the entire time. I don't think it would work. I don't think it would survive. And and so, I think it's important for being a human being that we live in this world that we can embrace and that will survive. Um, yeah. So I guess that's an old philosophical question. And yeah, these are the types of things that when you start meditating, you'd be surprised what you think about. So I encourage you to meditate.